He just received a tweet from Minpoike, and he just wanted to let us know. He said, hey, look, Fried Kid, it wasn't available for those first 2 games. That was why we made that comp decision. We didn't necessarily think it was the best comp to bring, but it was the best that we did have, Zico.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense now. Personally, of course, I would have loved to see them play that Rogue Mage all the way through, because now we only have that one sample-sized game to kind of judge Fried Kitty on that Fire Mage, which of course isn't very much to go from. So it's at least refreshing to know that they didn't think that that was a favorable matchup.
They still made top 4 though, an impressive performance from Team. But as you can see here, pretty much evenly split between Choccy Milkman and Baba's Boys. We got 2 of the best Resto Druids in the entire world going head-to-head right now. And we're going to see Blizzo for the first time in this tournament. Who's going to be able to take the first game, Choccy Milkman or Baba's Boys?
Yeah, Choccy Milkman. With this composition, I feel like they should be able to have a lot of pressure on Zipai. But Zipai, if he's running similar talents to what Swapsy was, similar gearing, similar talents, and he can just sort of camp that Ghost Wolf, Blizzo's going to be able to really tear into Ashley, Gelu Baba, and Fnobers. They're going to have to make sure they're doing a good job, not only controlling Looney to try to stop the healing, but also stop a...
Oh! Looney gets caught. He was being a bit cheeky out in the open, trying to find someone in stealth, but got found himself, and Choccy Milkman are immediately going to engage. Looney respects the initial attack and trades his Glider's Medallion, but that may not even be enough. 1 Maledicts, if Looney dispels, they'll go for an all-in. There's the second. Is there a third is the question. They go for all 3, but Looney manages to hold on. Maybe not. He's getting all in. This is devastation for Baba's Boys as he gets cycloned at low health. Choccy Milkman, if they have any sort of crowd control off the back of this, it could be absolutely the end of the match. Looney tries to get away. War Banner is down, but it gets killed off or was not affected. Looney now caught in a stun. Gelu blinks over, and Looney's going to fall. You cannot afford to be caught in cat form against a Rogue Mage as a Restoration Druid. And that's going to cost him game 1.
Oh, we were talking about how much Looney loves to hang out in dampening. This does not look like a place where he likes to be at all, Zico.
Well, it's just so refreshing to see how effective the Maledict Trinket really is when a team like the Choccy Milkmen are using it. Like Sid already even pointed out during the cast, we saw that first Maledict Trinket, then it got dispelled, waited a little bit, and then the next one comes in. Then before that dispel, it has an 8-second cooldown. Before that cooldown is even over, we see the third one come in, and then of course, beautiful Cyclone coming out of Fnobers to kind of refresh that diminishing return.
Let's watch the game again.
Yeah, let's just rewatch the game. So Looney gets sapped here. Zipai drops that Capacitator Totem, trying to fish out Ashley. Beautiful, beautiful opener here. Sheep shot onto Blizzo, so he cannot peel the situation here. And there it is. First Maledict gets dispelled. Gelu, second Maledict. Zipai gets a few healing surges off, and there's the counter spell, and then a third Maledict, and then here Fnobers. At the end of that CS on Zipai, he gets that Cyclone. Now, the reason why this is so crucial is because of that Iron Bark falling and that stun DR actually fading. Ashley doing a phenomenal job killing off that banner, and then of course getting that Garrote kidney shot there onto Looney, and that's all you need for that rush down to actually be successful. Looney not gonna have his trinket, Iron Bark, or his bark skin, and he's gonna get caught up at about 30% HP in a full kidney. All you need.
Boys, I mean, they're a veteran team, so they should play it calm, cool, and collected. I mean, for them in game number 1, they had to know Choccy Milkman was going to go with this composition. It's all we've really seen them run so far in this tournament. So I think Baba's Boys, they went in with their best foot forward. Unfortunate start for them, obviously, with Looney getting caught in stealth. But I think in game number 2, I'd like to see the same composition, at least see how it plays out when the game isn't over in 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is a team that wants to not have a game end in 20 seconds, but potentially even later than 20% into dampening. And now we will see Blizzo and Zipai backed up by Looney, and probably going to have a much slower game if they do have their way. Is the Choccy Milkmen strat, even we don't expect 20 seconds, but is it still to try to get a kill before dampening, Sid?
I mean, we saw Colo yesterday in North America get taken out by Jamili's Rogue Mage. A similar situation could happen if the Choccy Milkmen can make it into dampening and then just start training down Looney. It could definitely be a possibility. We haven't had a lot of chances to see these teams go head-to-head on the tournament realm with access to all of the Azerite trades, with access to all of the gear, whatever setup they want to run. They can make themselves as durable as they'd like to. So this could still go either way. I'm not really giving necessarily a confident answer to one team being the stronger composition overall than the other. I think there's opportunities on both sides.
I think that something that you touched on is something that we haven't mentioned that is important. How does BFA Season 2 right now in our tournament realm really look different than what we are seeing on live? Because there are some slight tweaks that you do have to pay attention to, Zico.
I think the pace is going to be a little bit slower just because you don't have access to that extremely high item level gear and all the sockets and all those things. And also there are some trinkets that aren't really available, mainly the new ones from Battle of Dazzalor.
Dazzledor, yeah.
That's close enough.
BOD. We just call it BOD, Battle of Dazzledor. And we can see right now Choccy Milkman going to be leading by 1 here. It was incredibly quick in game number 1. Looney caught a little bit early, and you can see he's not risking anything this time.
No, this is my pillar. This is my team. I'm not getting sapped. That's why Looney is staying next to his partners. And he immediately gets combat with a Moonfire on Gelu. So now Looney is unlikely to get sapped, at least out of bear form is unlikely as he goes in bear. He needs to make sure he has that extra durability and tankiness in that shapeshifted form, and he will not die to an all-in if that is the case.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens.
Actually
gets
caught him.
Sapped once again, but it looks like they're starting on Zeepai, switching it up. Gelu looking for the follow-up Ring of Frost, manages to find it, but really no damage so far connected. Zeepai able to shut that down with his Primal Elemental.
All right, they actually switched to Looney maybe off the back of this, and Choccy Milkman's strategy could just be constantly go after Looney and find openings there, and that's what we saw against
Greater
in North America. One Greater, he gets shadow melded, I believe, by Looney there, but ultimately getting cycloned by Fnobbers. I will say that Fnobbers, although he kind of took a bit of a break, he comes back on this Druid, and he's one of the few Druids that actually goes for these cyclones. A lot of Druids that have been playing for a while now just stay at the pillar, focus on surviving, pressing defensive cooldowns, but Fnobbers has been getting a lot of critical cyclones for his team that I have not seen a lot of other Druids actually achieve. Now switching it over to Blizzo and really making it difficult for Baba's boys to get anything going.
Yep, I think Choccy Milkman, this composition, Rogue Mage Druid, if they do play it right offensively, there is a chance that they can get kills before dampening. Full blind on Looney with a kidney shot onto Zeepai. Looney trinkets out, doesn't want to commit the Iron Bark just yet. We know Looney for his greedy plays, doesn't want to overlap his trinket with his Iron Bark unless he absolutely has to, and he's able to get away with it for now. Stun on Ashley, a little bit of counter pressure coming in from Baba's boys.
All right, Ashley and Gelu low health as Fnobbers was trying to sneak away and regenerate his mana because Cyclone is an expensive spell and he's been using it a lot, so he is likely to have to retreat away. But triple crowd control here as the Choccy Milkmen lead the charge. Zeepai, let's see if he's running that Ghost Wolf build as Swapsy was. He's not spending too much time in Ghost Wolf and taking a bit of the brunt of this exchange as a result. We see Looney jump over to his side to start to recover, and they managed to make it out alive against Ashley's Vendetta. Zeepai now tossing some damage towards Fnobbers, and I can imagine that Baba's boys are getting annoyed by him and likely to make a swap to him. Gelu, though, overextended and bursted down behind the pillar, immediately trying to get back to Fnobbers' side as they panic a bit here and overlap cooldowns. Maledicts is holding Gelu's health at low, but the Temporal Shield will immediately bounce him back to full. Both teams are swinging. Any positional mistake is going to be taken advantage of, and as we get closer to dampening, those mistakes will cost you a game.
Yeah, Gelu using a Kleptomania onto Zeepai, pushing in, getting the Pandaren Racial Incapacitate, Quaking Palm onto Looney, crowd controlling him just a little bit. I think it's an interesting racial choice by Gelu, just gives him a little bit more instant crowd control, especially because it can be difficult to get CC on the Resto Druid. Having that 2-minute timer where you can push in and get that guaranteed 4-second CC is really nice, especially if you follow it up with a Polymorph or a Ring of Frost. It just gives them more opportunities throughout the game.
With the caliber of these teams and the compositions that they've crafted, it is likely that dampening will be required here outside of a major blunder. They do manage to switch to Blizzo, try to catch him off guard. Gelu gets set up by Ashley for crowd control. No Cyclone on Zeepai, though. He's left open. He can support Blizzo. Goes for a Lightning Lasso to deny damage and further crowd control. Good teamwork by Zeepai as he was left open. He saved the day.
Yeah, Gelu looking for greater Pyroblast throughout this game. So if anyone's sitting in the open, he's going to be casting out that greater Pyroblast. It's a very hard-hitting spell. Does 35% of someone's health. So if he can get those off, it is an opportunity, a window for his team. One greater Pyroblast on Blizzo hits him hard, but Looney responds with some healing, keeping him topped off. And that's why Blizzo, Zeepai, and Looney, they have to kind of play on the pillar, because if Gelu gets to cast out those spells, it's essentially unhealable damage.
All right, Gelu with Temporal Shield activated there below his health, 37 seconds left on its timer. Whenever that box starts glowing, he has it activated, it soaks up damage, and then after it expires, it heals back all of the damage. So it's a very important blocking mechanic on a mage. He's been using it quite effectively throughout, so you definitely want to keep your eyes on that. It may look like he's in trouble, but if that icon is glowing, it is actually going to bounce him back very shortly. In the meantime, it looks like Baba's boys are trying to go after Fnobbers, a bit more of an aggressive choice in targeting, and he's immediately going to retreat away from that, not wanting to give himself to the opposing team. Ashley now swapped to, as Baba's boys are determined to drag this fight into dampening. Gelu makes a play, nice double Dragon's Breath, good support. Definitely a lot more coordinated here on this Rogue Mage effort, as Zeepai could be in trouble. He is going to drop Grounding Totem, but the Maledix has already connected. That's soaking up a lot of healing. He uses Lightning Lasso defensively, actually offensively on Fnobbers during that initial assault, and they are trying to punish every time that Fnobbers makes these moves aggressively for Cyclones. Could be an opportunity for them now that dampening has started, so Fnobbers may need to play a lot more passively.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. For these elemental shamans, it is so important you are pressuring down the healers when they push in aggressively. They're very vulnerable targets. When you get on the healer, they're forced out. He's not able to get those offensive cyclones. You see that can really set up the team. Now Looney getting swapped to. Ashley putting a good amount of damage onto Looney, but Blizzo able to shut down Gelu as well as Zeepai with the Stormbolt, with the Lightning Lasso, stunning him up, preventing damage, and really preventing him from getting anything going on Looney.
All right, Gelu just trying to stop damage from Blizzo with Polymorphs, but Gelu now getting hexed. Fnobbers, is he sitting down for a drink? He's not dispelling the hex, which is what makes me think he is. He did manage to generate some mana. There's the swap to Looney, and I think that Choccy Milkman are going to try and kill Looney deeper into dampening, as we saw that worked yesterday, at least in North America. Maybe they'll switch between the Warrior and the Druid. Nice counterspell by Gelu, setting up for more burst. Looney decides to jump out in the open. This might be a bit of a mistake, but Zeepai's there to save him with the support of Blizzo, so Looney does manage to get away. Now Ashley getting counter-pressured by Blizzo, finally tearing in with Sharpened Blade activated. The healing on Ashley is even further reduced, which is why Fnobbers is struggling a bit, but he placed his Innervate to make all of that difficult healing at least at no cost, so he could power through it and stabilize Ashley. Good timing. That gives him a mana advantage.
I feel like so many of these tournaments we've seen, it's always Baba's boys trying to just deal with Rogue Mage. Nice setup though. Greater Pyro Blast hits on Zeepai with a kidney shot. Looney trying to get some healing, rolling, manages to stabilize him a little bit. Doesn't want to commit the Iron Bark. These greedy plays probably going to pay off. Gelu pushes in, gets the Quaking Palm. Will he get the Ring of Frost? He manages to find it. Zeepai could still be in some trouble. In Ghost Wolf, just a line of sighting, running away from Gelu. Gelu wants to connect to Zeepai, but you have Blizzo all over him, spamming out the pummels, spamming out the Stormbolts, making it really difficult for him to find that effective damage.
Zeepai stun locked as Ashley and Gelu try and charge forward. Blizzo, though, chopping him up every time they push forward, and Blizzo is going to be the X factor in this game with Stormbolt and just raw pressure. Stormbolt on Ashley, Lightning Lasso on Gelu. Good coordinated assault here by the team of Baba's boys, but Fnobbers diffuses it with a well-placed Cyclone onto him. And now we can see another switch to Looney. He expected it, he predicted it, and this is what we know and love from Looney, is to just be unkillable and impenetrable. So being in bear form there, completely negating the attack. Now at 16% dampening, Fnobbers is trying to drink as he's out in center field. Looney charges forward to try and deny it, and it looks like they weren't able to stop it. Ursul's Vortex puts you in combat for 1 second, and then you immediately fall out. But regardless, Fnobbers has to come back and trade cooldowns. A bit of an overlap, actually. Maybe a panic attack here on the side of Choccy Milkman. It's an opening now for Baba's boys, having committed both Iron Bark and Cloak of Shadows in that attack. Their defense is now limited.
Well, after a while of pushing in, trying to get crowd control, trying to get damage rolling, if it's not working out, you have to reposition, you have to rethink your game. And Gelu now actually lands a big meteor on Blizzo, putting out a lot of pressure. That was this combustion as well. Pushing in, interrupting Looney. Blizzo still in a lot of trouble with the Kleptomania. Ashley, if he has any follow-up damage, is there any more crowd control for Looney? Blizzo might have to use his Die by the Sword here, but it looks like Zeepai with his good peels with the Grounding Totem, the Lightning Lasso, it is enough to shut down Gelu and Ashley. and Looney can stabilize.
All right, Gello getting chopped up. Blizzo finally doing some work for the team here of Baba's boys. The mana in favor of Chalky Milkman. Their defense starting to become available. Ashley has Vendetta, that red icon below his health. When that is activated and glowing, his damage is increased immensely, and he's looking for an opportunity to activate that as soon as possible, but getting clotheslined as he's pushing forward by Zeepai and Blizzo. Ashley now switching targets, but still very low on health. Zeepai tearing into him, and he's forced to run away once again, and that's the difficulty of pushing in on a team like Baba's boys. They will start to tear you apart if you aren't careful.
Yeah, they're just turtled up, full defense mode, just looking to counterattack like you were saying. It's up to them. Stop the goes coming in from Chalky Milkman, and then you have an opportunity where you can counter pressure. Gellu forced away. Ashley, not sure what he's trying to do right now in stealth, maybe potentially looking for a sap on Looney, trying to find some sort of opening. But Gellu not there, Fnobber's not there. Ashley forced to retreat once again, and they want to bring it to the midfield so Gellu can take advantage of those greater power blasts to try to get some sort of damage.
And also expose Looney or Zeepai off of the pillar so they can't line of sight damage or crowd control. They are going after Blizzo. One greater pyroblast connects, and in dampening, that's going to be very difficult for Looney to heal through as it does so much damage. Maledict's actually committed here towards Blizzo. Chalky Milkman are committing quite a lot of resources. He spell reflected the Maledicts onto Fnobbers. Blizzo with a nice play. Looney, though, still bashed up, waiting under crowd control. Lightning Lasso and Blizzo going at it. Gellu getting bursted. Maledict's onto him, and Baba's boys are looking good in dampening, and this is exactly what they're known for, is just extending the game out and then chopping people up here. Tons of damage. Temporal Shield is ticking, and it's soaking up all of this damage and healing him back to full, but it was cauterized regardless, which is a powerful defensive cooldown on the Fire Mage. When you would otherwise be killed, cauterize will trigger, heal you back, and then slowly burn away, so your healer has a couple more seconds to save you. He doesn't have that safety net. He needs to be careful. If he gets bursted down without activating Ice Block, the game will end. Zeepai trying to go after Fnobbers and deny some Cyclones, but two greater Pyroblast, 1-2 coming in here. Zeepai's health could just disappear as the meteor comes crashing in. Looney locked down in crowd control. Zeepai left in midfield. This is exactly what the Chalky Milkmen want positionally to take out Zeepai, but Gellu is still limited on resources. He needs to be careful without that cauterize to save him. Looking for Polymorphs, baits and interrupt, could go for a greater Pyroblast. I'm surprised that he didn't almost immediately. Another Temporal Shield timing, but that Maledicts could soak up a lot of it. Defensive Polymorph gets Blade Stormed. Good mobility usage there by Blizzo to dodge crowd control and stay on target, but then immediately retreating back. He doesn't want to get polymorphed out of range of Looney, so good awareness. Blizzo and Zeepai are going to change targets to a closer one, but now they've left Gellu open. He's just casting out greater pyros. Gets spell reflected, I think, on one. It actually takes a huge chunk of damage. Blizzo doing a great job defensively, but now overextended a bit. Smoke Bomb gets dropped. Ashley goes all in with the Vanish Play to kill Blizzo. Do they have enough damage to take him down? Die by the Sword activated on low health, keeping him alive for a few more seconds, but with dampening so high, it may not even be enough. Looney commits Iron Bark now as well. He still isn't stabilizing. Zeepai's trying to make something happen, but it's just not working. Looney's still locked down in crowd control. Ashley's tearing in. Blizzo holding on by a thread here. If they go down in dampening, it's looking grim for them overall, and they will. Chalky Milkman now leading 2-0. They knock Method Black down. They're one game away from knocking Baba's boys down, and they may be the team to beat from Europe.
A 20-second game, a game into late dampening, and the results are the same. Chalky Milkman going to be able to take 2 back-to-back wins. And why were they able to do this in dampening as well as in the quick game?
Well, I think they have the compositional advantage. It just seems like Baba's boys, they can't get aggressive. Every single time Blizzo pushes forward and he tries to get something happen, he just ends up getting greater pyroed and then chased down. And you gotta give it to Gellu and Fnobbers. They have the best mage druid synergy that we've seen so far in this tournament. Consistently, there it is, Dragon's Breath, DR Poly. Fnobbers not gonna go for that Cyclone. He knows Gellu's gonna land that. Gellu is gonna go for a third Poly. Fnobbers gonna cancel that Cyclone again, and then he's gonna perfectly time his other Cyclone right there. Ashley gonna get to do whatever he wants basically with Blizzo. Maledict Trinket as well from Fnobbers. I think honestly Fnobbers has been playing the best in terms of offense out of all the druids we've seen so far. He's been doing a great job.
Baba's boys, the way that I think they could win is not the way that they're necessarily going to play it. I expect that they're going to stay at the box, they're going to attack the rogue, and they're going to run around in circles and hope that it works. Maybe occasionally hit somebody else if they get a little bit close, but we've never seen them play Windwalker Death Knight last year and actually just run down someone. They're always playing defensive, so if they change it, it would be a surprise to me. I would have almost thought Zeepai has played Rogue before, and I was wondering if they were going to utilize Maro and try and put Rogue Mage on their roster, because that would be something in the long term that would be advantageous for them to start preparing, and then maybe start learning how to mirror the Rogue Mages to deal with it, because Baba's boys, the only thing that usually stops them in any tournament is Rogue Mage. So having Maro on there, they could eventually utilize it themselves. Maybe it's obviously not prepared enough for this event, but moving into the future.
And that's something I definitely do want to talk about more, is the idea of a lot of these teams that weren't thought of as Rogue Mage teams trying to do both, and a lot of teams that were Rogue Mage teams also trying to do both now. Something we didn't typically see in World of Warcraft. It starts happening in Legion. In BFA, it seems to be even more important. That's not going to necessarily be something that comes into play here, though, because the Choccy Milkmen are on fire, and this milk ain't the only thing that Sweat and Baba's boys may get sent down to the lower bracket here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely looking likely with the way Choccy Milkman is playing in this matchup. Baba's boys, they're going to have to try to figure something out. Windwalker Death Knight, a very durable composition. You actually have a lot of burst damage with the Windwalker as well, if you can set up the damage correctly. Zeepai, he's not playing the ability where he can, the Dark Simulacrum. He's not playing the Dark Simulacrum where he can actually spell steal Cyclone and Polymorph, and I think that could be a mistake from Zeepai.
All right, Gello early on trying to get crowd control. Zeepai stalls it out, but there's that Pandaren racial Quaking Palm on Looney, holding him in place for a couple seconds, but no follow-up, and unlikely a kill to follow after that. Blizzo, likely the most vulnerable target, at least before dampening, so expect to see him pressured the most by Choccy Milkman. However, when we move into dampening and the death strike of Zeepai is reduced in terms of its healing output, they could easily switch to him or even potentially Looney. So Blizzo will be the point of pressure for Baba's boys on match point, and he is playing an alternate specialization, typically playing a warrior. That could be a weakness that Choccy Milkmen are trying to exploit, but they do make a critical error, stacking on top of each other for Blizzo to land a multi-target stun and follow up with a ton of damage. They went for a bit of a play there onto Fnobbers, only pulling Barkskin from him, but potentially a switch to him later on could be devastating.
I mean, they got the triple leg sweep, but no one's HP moved. Fnobbers used the Barkskin. They didn't really commit any additional offense. They didn't continue to push. With that, they're just opting to play at this pillar. They really do want to play the long game. Zeepai, he's just sitting on Gellu, trying to slow him down, but like I said, I really feel like the Dark Simulacrum could have been that extra little bit of offense. You can actually use it to spell steal greater Pyroblast, so Gellu has to think twice about using that. You get the additional burst. You can take a Cyclone, and that could be the extra crowd control you need to take down Ashley or Gellu. Now another setup here on the Blizzo with a kitty shot with the Smoke Bomb. Looney playing very far away. Blizzo, he uses the Flying Serpent Kick to trigger the Vortex and then portals away to safety, gets immediately topped off, and now looking to get back in the fight and get some pressure for his team.
I was going to say, I don't think Zeepai and offense ever belong in the same sentence. So Dark Simulacron being an aggressive honor talent selection, I don't expect a player like Zeepai to ever maybe even consider it, but it would be a viable option. As we saw Valito the other day coming very close to finding victory for his team with that ability. We see double leg sweep from Blizzo as they're switching their attention to Gellu. Fnobbers is trying to get over there in a jiffy to save him, managing to connect Ironbark, installing a lot of damage. Gellu now able to kite away and avoid the remainder of it. Ashley's Vendetta really not getting too much done here as he committed his most powerful attack and didn't manage to pull basically anything. Blizzo in a kidney shot here as a meteor comes crashing in. Gellu trying to set up a nice Cyclone at low health, and Fnobbers is crossing the map, looking to crowd control Looney, but gets crowd controlled himself. But Blizzo is still low, could have to trade more cooldowns. A blind on Looney likely to be Gladiator's Medallion used here as soon as possible. Looney gets out of crowd control and restabilizes the team. Ashley under a bit of pressure along with Gellu. The teams are fairly evenly matched in terms of pressure and mana, so as we move closer to dampening, it does feel like it could be anyone's match.
I saw a really weird play coming in from Baba's boys. They just accidentally or randomly used their Gladiator's Maledict on Fnobbers. He was 100% HP, very far away, and I don't know if that was just a misfire or what, but they need to coordinate their offense a little bit better. It's going to be a very important tool for them to actually pull through the defenses and land a kill.
Right, at this point, Baba's boys, they're on match point. If they lose this, they go down to the lower bracket to face Method Black, and Method Black are a dominant rogue mage down there as well, so if they can't find an answer to it, they could just easily be going home out of the tournament. We could have a rematch between Chalky Milkman and Method Black, and I believe that Method Black actually got 3-0'd
I think you're right.
by Chalky Milkman, so I'm not sure, but Gelu on this new team has just been utterly dominating. Fnaubers looks phenomenal on this Restoration Druid. We haven't really seen his defense tested that much, but his offense is spectacular. We see an attack engaged here towards Blizzo. He can't afford to throw the match. They're on match point, caught in midfield, now getting counter pressure. Finally, some semblance of attacking from Baba's boys towards Gelu, but the Temporal Shield is activated and immediately heals back to damage. Now they switch their attention to Ashley, crushing him under the weight of their Fists of Fury, but Fnaubers is able to recover. Fnaubers moving forward, looking for Cyclones, trying to potentially get something going for his team. Curious to see how he navigates through this Windwalker and Death Knight across the map. Looks like they're crowd controlling and making a swap to Looney. Looney expected this, was already in bear form and prepared, and because of that was able to deny a kill on himself quite easily, but maybe not. Gelu with the blink counterspell, cheeky play, trying to go for an all-out kill here towards Looney. Potentially a vendetta committed as well. Multiple Maledicts. Looney dispels one. Where's the next one to follow it? There's the next one to follow. Did he shadow meld it? It barely even did anything there towards Looney. Good deflection though by Looney, not being caught off guard. However, moving into dampening, a swap like that will be devastating.
Yeah, that is true. Ashley getting a little bit low here. Kidney shot on Blizzo though, shutting him down just a little bit. Gelu coming back, trying to help his team out a little bit, still just spamming out the Greater Power Blast in. Even if you're not getting the Greater Power Blast off when you're spamming them out like this, he does manage to find one. It's a very effective way of baiting out interrupts from the enemy team, allowing you to go for other casts like Polymorph and Ring of Frost to land that crowd control on Looney you need. So it's just an annoyance, basically an interrupt eater as of a spell. And if you do happen to get them off, you can just win the game. So very powerful spell for Gelu.
Fnaubers and Gelu, that Mage Druid synergy, they finally get disrupted, potentially not. Quaking Palm at least can follow into maybe Ring of Frost here. No, Gelu gets denied again. Blizzo is still just low on health from pressure alone. Chalky Milkman bring in crowd control coordination, bring in tons of damage, bringing in good defensive play. They're just a very well-rounded rogue mage in this tournament overall. We do see Baba's boys in desperation try and go after Fnaubers, but barely even scratch him as he is going to escape to safety. Dampening, ramping up at the top of the screen, 8% healing reduction, and inevitably the game will be ended due to this. The pressure will simply be unhealable. Fnaubers trying to stabilize the team using Nourish to stay ahead on mana. We see Blind committed to Looney, the strongest crowd control, and he uses Gladiator's Medallion to break that. It's usually a typical trade for a Druid player, as you do not want to sit through that and have a crowd control chain end your partner's life, especially because Blizzo is so limited currently on defensive options. Both teams are stabilized in this position. I do believe that Fnaubers has a slight mana lead. We'll find out when Looney decides to get out of bear form. It's pretty even at this point. Now, it's hard to call who's going to win deep in dampening because we've seen Looney so low on health during swaps, and we've also seen a couple close calls for Ashley, so it's still anyone's match.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Ashley has a lot of defensives to work with, and I think as long as he's patient with those abilities, he should be able to survive. Nice setup coming in from Chalky Milkman. See Blizzo into the kidney shot with a bash on Looney, but with no follow-up crowd control. Blizzo's going to survive and manages to find the double CC. That's where the small box, everyone's sort of clumped up. It's very effective for the Windwalker Monk to get those double leg sweeps, which is what they need for crowd control, to stop CC, as well as get aggressive. Blizzo's just going to be hightailing it out of there, flying Serpent Kick across the map, keep himself alive with the Vivify. Gelu, though, looking for the Greater Power Blast on Zipai. Zipai just running around the box, trying to avoid some damage, buying Looney and Blizzo some time to stabilize for now. You can see, I think Blizzo actually laid his port on the box near Looney, so Blizzo does get in trouble. He can use that Transcendence to get away once again. It's important that the Windwalker Monk throughout the game is relaying his port in a safe position, especially when he is the main target.
I also want to highlight that this is the map pick from Baba's boys. This is the best map potentially in the pool, and it's evenly fought. That's not a good sign. If we go to the map selection of Chalky Milkman, we go to an open field. I'm not sure Baba's boys even make it to this point in the game, so if they even manage to pull off a miracle, it's not looking too good for them overall, and they just have to face an even more formidable rogue mage with Method Black in the lower bracket. This could be devastating for Baba's boys if they can't figure out something soon. Gelu unleashing devastation there with multiple Greater Pyroblasts, but finally pressure towards Ashley, getting crushed. now able to retreat away. Fnaubers with a good save, now recovering. Ashley leading the charge, and in dampening, I think we may see a switch to Zeepai, and I think that's a smart maneuver. Zeepai cannot simply hightail it out of there and avoid all damage. He has to take it straight to the face on that Death Knight. He cannot simply kite away, and Death Strike is diminished in dampening. Let's see how it fares.
Yeah, Blizzo trying to defend Looney right now from that Cyclone incoming, but the Ring of Frost actually lands on Looney and Polymorph on Blizzo. Now Zeepai, like you called, he's in trouble, 24% dampening. He's trying to kite away out of line of sight. Galu looking for a greater Power Blast through that AMS. He gets gripped on it. Can he get the second one?
Oh, he got it, I think.
Like he does. He actually manages to find it. Zeepai's going to be in a lot of trouble here. Looney's going to have to play catch-up. He does have the Iron Bark Death Pack still available also, but Zeepai, he wants to hold on to the anti-magic zone for the combustion from Gelu. He wants to be able to trade that off to avoid that damage. Otherwise, it would just be too overwhelming.
Blizzo has Touch of Death. He could make a big play here with that red icon below his health. When that starts glowing, he's activated it currently. He wants to get something going for his team, but no damage just yet. They grip Fnaubers in. I think they're actually trying to go after him. That Touch of Death is basically going to be wasted as a result. They do switch their attention to Gelu. They trade the anti-magic zone for combustion evenly, and now Gelu on the back foot trying to get away from that overextended position he was currently in and find some greater Pyroblast. And Zeepai and Blizzo need to start ducking for cover. Zeepai avoids it. Blizzo not the target, as it is likely to be Zeepai as the kill target for Choccy Milkman. Potentially Looney deeper into dampening with another kidney shot. Zeepai actually uses Gladiator's Medallion to get out, taking quite a bit of damage. Anti-magic shield stabilizes him and denies the damage of Gelu. Gelu still looking for crowd control. Both Fnaubers and Gelu standing on top of Looney, but unable to chain it. Who really cares? The damage is just so insane at this point. Zeepai could fall. The Death Pact barely doing anything to stabilize. Looney in desperation to keep the game going here. They're on match point. They don't want to be knocked down to the lower bracket. They need some opportunities to figure out how to beat Rogue Mage in this tournament. If they lose here, they lose out on at least some opportunities to practice against the Choccy Milkmen. Finally, some counter pressure. They grip Fnaubers in. They're going to try and gun him down, but it's a risky move this late in the game.
Yeah, Fnaubers does get low in that leg sweep. Good job by Blizzo. If those Maledict trinkets keep flying in on Fnaubers, he could be in a lot of trouble. At this point in dampening, the teams have to coordinate their Maledicts really well in order to take someone down. It's just overwhelming amount of healing reduction with the 36% dampening, as well as the big necrotic strike that happens as a result of that trinket. Fnaubers looking for a Cyclone, he gets interrupted. Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast, but at this point in dampening, Gelu, he's going to have to change his playstyle a little bit. He can't just be sitting there tanking the Windwalker Death Knight. All of a sudden, Fnaubers' healing just isn't as significant, so he's not going to be able to just tank out the Windwalker DK. Blizzo taking a little damage, Zeepai taking a little damage, Ashley retreating away, potentially looking for a re-stealth. I think he just wanted to sort of bait Zeepai and Blizzo down as he was the main target, but they didn't follow him. They're just keeping the pressure up, and I think this is smart. Zeepai and Blizzo, they just need to hit whatever they can. They have the mortal wounds from Blizzo on the Windwalker Monk. Good consistent pressure from Zeepai. Another nice double stun. Looney positioning far away. You can see Fnaubers trying to get something rolling for his team. Finds the bash on Looney. Are they going to get the Ring of Frost? Yes, they do. But Ashley is the one that's in a lot of trouble. Evasion does get used. Zeepai line of sighting Gelu right now, but a lot of pressure coming in from Choccy Milkman.
Yeah, Zeepai on the back foot looking to get to the boxes and try and hide, but with dampening so high, he just simply isn't receiving that much healing. He may just fall. Anti-magic zone right before the stun, but that may not even be enough at 43% healing reduction. Looney, he's basically got his arms in the air as he just does whatever he can to keep Zeepai going. It manages to at least keep him alive. Ashley's on the ropes. Fnaubers has no mana. It's still anyone's match, but Zeepai is the one a little bit more behind, trying to stay in it. Interrupts landed on both sides, a bit chaotic here in the final moments. It's match point. Can Choccy Milkmen just simply close it out? And 3-0, two of the best teams in Europe in this tournament. We're about to find out as Zeepai barely hangs on and ultimately falls. Choccy Milkmen are unstoppable.
They're going to milk Bava's boys for everything they're worth, and they are going to make it straight to the grand finals, dominating 3-0s across the board today. The Choccy Milkmen, who can actually stop them now? We just saw a 3-0, and we know that they've already taken down their other potential competition in the grand finals.
Well, I think the way it's going to shake out is now we have Baba's boys going down to the lower bracket. Who's waiting in the lower bracket? Method Black, a phenomenal Rogue Mage Druid team of their own. If Method Black wins that matchup, we have seen Method Black beat Rogue Mage Druid when they were playing against Team, I believe. And if they play that Demon Hunter Unholy Death Knight Resto Druid that we saw them bring out against Rogue Mage Druid, they might actually have a pretty clear road now to that victory. So my biggest question is, would Unholy DK, Demon Hunter, and Restored actually take down the Choccy Milkman? Because the Choccy Milkman already beat Method Black as well. So Choccy Milkmen are looking really good right now. They're looking like the team to beat, but Method Black might have an answer.
Yeah, I'm going to say I definitely agree with you there, because when you do look at Method Black, they also had a little bit of time to prepare since they have played against them. That's probably the greatest advantage that they do have. And after we just saw Baba's Boys